All right. Welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. Your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And Dr. Lopkin, again, especially with the Trump administration, there's never a dull moment. And now we got the Ommarosa, allegedly. I think the nuclear thing, the rest is who cares? It's all garbage, is the N-word, isn't it? That's the big deal. Do you agree?
It's the big deal. Although the question is really, should it be? Because you're talking about something that happened years ago.
Okay, very good point, Doc. No, very good point, Dr. Lopkin. And you're right. And until like a couple of days ago, I thought she was alluding to the fact that it happened in the White House. Okay, which would have been, you agree, would have been a huge...
That would have been a big deal. But no, from what I've seen, she's claiming it happened on the set of The Apprentice.
And but the producer says it didn't happen. I forgot his name. It's really not important. The producer of The Apprentice says there is no...
Yeah, Art Burnett says it didn't happen. She claims to have a tape, but she refuses to release it. So you have to start wondering, if she really has recorded evidence and people are saying this didn't happen, why isn't she releasing it?
Maybe to string this along. I personally think to sell a book, you don't... Okay, the Kelly tape is vanilla. That's like boilerplate for how you get laid off. John, whatever, you can leave here and it's going to be okay. He didn't do anything outrageous. So that, to me, releasing that's like, to quote Hillary, a nothing burger. I mean, that's like nothing.
No, there was nothing to that recording. That one,
absolutely nothing.
That one she released, and I mean, it didn't even hold up as her own argument. It was just, oh well, we hope you do well, and
it was boilerplate thing. We consider this a good experience. And, you can move on. In other words, we'll say you did well, whatever. Zero. I mean, I couldn't. So my point is, I'm not sure this thing exists, because if I was the marketing director or orchestrator for this endeavor, obviously you want to have something that does not create any excitement whatsoever. You'd want to come out with the big enchilada to sell your books. You only have like 2 minutes, or you only have a certain amount of opportunity to make your mark. You know what I'm saying?
And let's look at this. Her entire career was built on the back of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He hires a chief of staff. He hired her basically because of the relationship they had from The Apprentice. He hires a chief of staff to clean things up. He looks at things and goes, you know what? He hired her because they have a previous relationship, but she's really not qualified to do this. She's not bringing anything to the team. I'm letting her go.
Plus, she was disruptive. She was disruptive within the organization.
Right. And that's the chief of staff's job. He doesn't have to check with the president. His job was to clean house and make sure that everybody was falling in line. She didn't do that. He got rid of her. All of a sudden, oh my God, Trump is this terrible person. Why? Well, one, she's a disgruntled employee, and two, she's got a book to sell. Because without that book, without Donald Trump, she has no career.
No, and he is a little bit, let's be honest. I didn't never really watch The Apprentice that much, but she was, I did see a couple episodes, I think, with her. She wasn't exactly the pillar of stability.
No, she is essentially a reality television star. That's all she is.
Which the only thing I would say does not bode well for Trump for actually even thinking about having her in the cabinet. Even thinking about
it. No, That's the big mistake he made. The mistake wasn't letting her go. The mistake isn't that there's a tape out there that may or may not exist. The mistake is, why are you hiring incompetent people? And that's something the Trump administration has been doing. They're hiring.
That's real. You had Kelly. Forget about his that trumped up charge. The guy was a hothead. He was, I think, in a security meeting, getting all out of control, and
right.
The ex-mayor of New Jersey had to chill him out. A number, and even his chief of staff, John, whatever, the guy from Breitbart, he basically became unhinged. Yeah. So it was less than a plus stable of talent.
Yeah, he did not bring good people with him. He should have spent more time vetting. But honestly, I think when he won the election, despite what he says and despite a lot of Trump supporters say, I don't think he ever thought he had a chance, so he didn't put enough thought into who he would put in these positions.
I think he wanted to. I agree with you. I think he campaigned hard at the end, so he wouldn't embarrass himself. He would do well, and I think he was shocked that he won. So in total, to wrap this up with the Ommarosa part of the segment of this Carnivore Bite, from a scale of, let's say, 1 being nothing, 10 being a disaster, Ommarosa, what is it?
She's a 3. She's a news bite that it's going to take up airtime, but ultimately result in nothing.
I think it might actually work for Trump because, again, it's like the porn star or whatever. It brings the media down a path that ends to nowhere. So chewing up valuable time that they could be used, which is what they do to go after Trump, well, it's going down a path that's going to basically just implode.
And they don't seem to understand that every time this happens, they think, oh, this is it. We're going to take Trump down. And all it does is energize his base.
No question. It actually helps him at the midterm. Now, speaking of energizing the base, what do you think of the security clearance with Brennan?
I also think that's a big nothing. Personally, I don't understand why anybody, when they leave the position, would get to hold on to their security clearance. I mean, they're given security clearance for a reason, to do a job.
I would agree 100%. There's no reason. It's like you leave a company, you leave a school, you have to hand in the keys. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And I have to say one thing that reflects, I think as history unfolds, Obama, the more we know about Obama, the more that we will be scared and basically shocked. I mean, the CIA director, he was basically, I think he was voted for the Communist Party. I mean, how does that equate? Clapper? I mean, these people are they're not your, traditional CIA type of operatives.
No, there's a lot of shady things that went on during the Obama administration. But to be fair, there's a lot of shady things that go on during every administration.
Yeah, but but Obama weaponized the IRS, the security agencies, the FBI. There's no question about it. He didn't do anything in policy, but what he did do is, like he said, rearrange or transform America without any question.
Yeah.
So again, on the scale from 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being something, I'll start this one. This is a 2.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, most people actually agree with it. If you have half a brain, it's like, and Brennan wasn't like he was laying in the corner saying nothing. The guy was basically a talking head. He was an employee of MSNBC and CNN. So goodbye, and I think there's more to come.
And at which point, given what he was doing, why would you keep his security clearance? I don't see any good reason that he should have kept it.
I would completely agree. Well, Dr. Lopkin, that concludes this edition of Carnivore Bites. Again, in the news, everything's happening. It's never a dull moment. So we'll do it again.
And we'll see you next week.
Take care.
You've been listening to Carnivore Radio's podcast. You can catch us here every week. Carnivore Radio is part of the Xvadio podcast network. You can listen to the podcast at blogtalkradio.com/Xvadio. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can listen to us live every Friday at 4 o'clock on WESU 88.1 Middletown, Connecticut. You can also catch us online at WESUFM.org. We look forward to hearing from you, and see you next week.